My guest today is Shannon Flanagan, a retail leader with more than 25 years of experience, a 5-time top retail expert, NRF Top Voice, and founder of Retail Women in Tech. But Shannon's story isn't really about titles. Between 2016 and 2024, she was laid off 4 times. She navigated career uncertainty, reinvention, and personal change, forcing her to repeatedly ask herself a difficult question. Who are you when the title disappears? That journey became the foundation for her new book, Choose, Don't Chase Your Career, which explores how career transitions are really about identity, agency, and redefining success on your own terms. Today, we're talking about layoffs, fear, ambition, belonging, and what it takes to become who you are when life doesn't go according to the plan. Here's Paula Macaggi. Welcome to OFFBounds. Shannon, so happy to have you in New York. Welcome to OFFBounds.
I'm so glad to be here. You're the first one I'm getting to talk about the book with.
Oh my God, I can't wait. You have actually a fantastic book with a fantastic topic that is going to resonate with so many people. While I was reading it, I was like, oh my God, yeah, I felt it.
Well, you've gone through the journey as well.
Yeah, I went through a few of these journeys.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I have to reinvent myself all the time. Yeah. But before we get there, let's introduce you to everyone. You're running the nonprofit Retail Connections, which most of us know as Retail Women in Tech. I remember when you were about to found it, which was a very exciting talk. But for those that are meeting you for the first time, what do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah.
A whole lot. So, I'm a mother of 3. I am a motherless daughter. My mom died 17 years ago, and I think that definitely has had an impact on my life. I see myself as a humanist and a connector. I see the potential in people, and I was really fortunate to find my why at 25, which was to create the conditions for people to love what they do every day. And it's been my through line, and now I get to do that every day. So I won't give away too much what's in the book, and we'll talk a little bit about it, but I gave up everything to follow my retirement plan. So when I retired, I wanted to run a nonprofit. Here I am, and I wanted to write books and share stories about people's different experiences. The first one just happens to be about a career. There's going to be many more, I hope, in the future. But, I've worked in retail, I've worked in consulting, I've worked in tech, and the nonprofit I found, I saw this huge opportunity for untapped talent and to create a space where title didn't matter, age didn't matter, gender didn't matter, sector didn't matter. And the reality is, women influence up to 80% of all purchasing decisions in retail, but we are not represented as such. And in the world of AI, we have to be very actively and aggressively figuring out how we get more women in the rooms where decisions are being made. As much as it's an amazing community, it's not for kumbaya. We're here for impact.
Amazing. How does it feel to be a book author now? To add that to your list?
Somebody just asked me that today because I gave away the book for the first time to somebody, got my first pictures with folks, and they're like, how does it feel? And I said, it feels right.
Yeah.
It's what I've always wanted to do. So.
Yeah. And the topic is choose, don't chase your career. That's a very impactful topic right there. Like the title already says a lot that makes us, I think all of us be like, I feel it. Yeah. Why was this the right time for it? And why did you write it?
So a couple of different reasons. So interestingly enough, this morning or this afternoon, I was reminded that somebody who is in our circle, she and I had spoken last fall, and she had written a book. And I was talking about, I always wanted to. She introduced me to our publisher. This is months before this idea came to be. But the title in and of itself, and I think it's an interesting story, and I've got a side story if we have time, but if not, I'll come back for it, is that the program we were trying to get into is actually run through Georgetown's business school. And we knew what we wanted to share the stories of women that existed in our community. But that's not enough. So they do a visioning session with you. You have no preparation. And frankly, hadn't really thought more about it. And they asked me the question, or asked me a couple of questions. The questions themselves, I don't remember, but I remember the answer. And the book was based on two premises. One, that I believe the definition of success is changing and changing rapidly, in particular for women. Though this book is a story of women's, it's a human story. So men, feel free to go pick it up as well. You will relate. But, the definitions of title, success, money, where are they getting us, right? And are we getting the fulfillment that we need? So I believe that fulfillment is now becoming a top priority, as well as the flexibility to go find what you want. So that was the first premise. The second one is this idea around transitions, which is the subtitle. And my observation is that we rush through transitional moments. We go from A to B as quickly as we can. We're burned out. We're trying to find a job right away. We get laid off. What do we do the next day? In particular, those of us who are high achievers. And we actually have the good fortune typically to take a pause, but we don't sit in between these moments. And this is true in all aspects of our lives. And that's usually where the greatest growth happens. So it was those two things that came together. Now, the title itself, so one of the things you have to do when you're going through writing a book is your hook, right?
Yeah.
And so you work with a positioning editor. And I can't tell you where this title came from in my head, but the minute it came down, it was magical. It was like, no brainer, this is the hook.
This is
and
it.
This is the
we don't
title.
need to think anymore.
Yes.
Yeah. Very good, very good. And I can see why. And you mentioned being laid off, and in the book you're very open about being laid off 4 times between 2016 and 2024.
Something like that?
Yeah. And I think like most people don't talk about it. They hide it. They're not, it's just not something that people are proud of saying. Why you had no problem about saying that?
Well, one, it didn't even occur to me. So there was a moment in 2024, we were with Retail Women in Tech doing a virtual session, and it was a woman who was coming in and talking about starting your own business. And I think she had some sort of commentary around this concept, and it hit me. Oh my God, I've been laid off 4 times. And I'd been incredibly successful in my career, and other people would perceive me as successful.
I never perceived you otherwise. Yeah.
Well, but that comes to, why do we have shame, right? The first one, though, very blindsided and devastated and betrayal, I always knew as an executive I would be laid off. It just happened earlier. But that one was tough. The next 2 made sense. One was when I tried to go sell retail technology. Like, no brainer, not for me. Now that detour has allowed me to do the work that I've done since, and I couldn't do what I'm doing today. And none of this would exist without that detour. The second one was during COVID. And though there's some stuff that might have gone down, that's for another podcast. But the fourth one was also devastating. But through those, I also knew that I was really good at what I did. And what I wasn't good at, right? The ones that made sense. And I think you're absolutely right. We have so much shame associated with it. And these moments in our careers, like, it doesn't discriminate. Like, you can have incredible talent and be very productive and successful in your career and still get laid off. And when you get laid off, right, you immediately internalize it, right? And you judge yourself, you blame yourself. And I wanted to change that conversation and talk about the hard parts that come with it, but also the magic of finding what's next when you allow yourself to.
Maybe that's an opportunity for your next calling that might be so much better than what it was before.
Exactly.
And you start the book always by talking about the break, this rupture moment. What was yours?
It's a powerful one. And again, all of these moments have forever changed my life. And again, that's part of the sitting in the transitions, I want to say, is when you create the space, you recognize that these are the moments that are going to change and get you closer to hopefully who you are and who you want to be and the work that you love. So I was asked to come back to Gap Inc. I had been in San Francisco for years. I'd moved out there. I was with Macy's out here. I get a call to come back. My ex-husband and I hemmed and hawed because we had 3 children, and we grew up in the Midwest, having lived in San Francisco for a decade, we knew that Californians don't leave. So we asked the question, are we going to raise our kids Californians? Obviously we did. And on the first hour of my job, the CEO resigns. And I came to work for the EVP of strategy at Gap Corporate, and the president of Banana Republic. They were gone in like 30 days. So a new leader came to Banana Republic, and she and I had an incredibly close relationship. I reported directly to her, and I was helping to drive transformational change. I'm a change practitioner. But over time, that relationship evolved to a place that I hadn't expected, and actually it hurt. And so she had me working more closely with the SVP of HR. And we were trying to figure out what's the right way I can support the organization. I had great relationships with her C-suite, but we were still trying to find the right way to work with her. So we had put together a whole plan. And I was supposed to meet with this woman on a Friday. And I walk around the corner and I see the SVP of HR, and she has like tears in her eyes, and she's like, she's letting you go. And completely blindsided. Now, I had given up my fuel and my fire for the job, or I should say my fire for the job, had gone away several months earlier. So what really hurt is that the woman the president of VR, she and I had broken bread together. We had spent so much time, and she never spoke to me again. She never acknowledged what happened. And even though I lost my fire for the role months before, it wasn't about actually being let go that was so hard. It was about I felt betrayed. Now, because I knew that at some point I would be laid off and get a package, and thankfully I had a very generous one, I went home and I celebrated. It was noon, I went and got champagne, I came home and I got drunk because I knew that it wasn't the right place for me, and I knew the pain I was carrying, even though it came with pain with the break. But if that break and that rupture had not happened, my life would be fundamentally different. And we might spend some time talking about what that break then entailed and how it impacted the rest of my life. But
like what I think is interesting is that you celebrated. And before you were looking for a next role, you took some time. Why do you think that's important to like cool down a little bit on the race of finding something new?
So somebody told me to take 3 months. And I listened. So my 30s, I had 4 pregnancies, I had 3 kids, my mom died, all of my grandparents died, I moved 3 times. I actually thought my 40s were gonna be my quiet decade. How wrong I was. So that's for a whole nother story. It's completely wrong. It's the most transformative decade of my life, and the craziest and the best. I'm now on the other side, and hopefully maybe the 50s.
I'm getting to my 40s, so I thought a bit.
No, I'm hoping the 50s. Anyway. But the reality is for most of us, we do have the luxury to actually take that time. Even if it's scary from a financial perspective, and it's certainly hard from an emotional perspective because we're high achievers and we want to do. And I intentionally made no to-do list. And of course, I had every closet in the house that I wanted to redo, right? I had all of these things that I never had the chance to do as the breadwinner and, 3 young children. But with that pause, I heard myself in a way that I hadn't had a chance to. I got a life coach. A friend of mine was needing to get her hours in. There's a lot I talk about in the book there. I realized that even though the man I was married to, who I still loved very much, but that it wasn't right, go forward, and decided to get a divorce. And I also decided I didn't want to go back to work at a retailer. I didn't want to deal with the same different day,
so it's
different
like
company.
It made a reassessment of your life.
Yeah, and I was like, I want more tools in my toolbox. And so I went out and I realized I wanted to build skills around business development and technology. And again, that led to the year detour. But without that, again, I wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah, and you talk about I love that you have several parts of the book. Like you have the break, and then you have the script. And I think that's the most fascinating part, because we all have a script in our mind of what we have to follow. Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about script and what it means for our lives, and if we actually need to keep it?
We don't. Okay, so let's just start with that. And my script was more the script that I think most of us carry, which is money is the definition of success, title, right, status, that these are the things that we're going for. And when we pause, again, when we go through the break and we think about the script, is it the script that we really want in our lives? Where is it getting us? At what cost is that script having in our lives? Is the script that we're supposed to have a big house? Again, worth it, right? Is the script that we're supposed to work hard but not be fulfilled, right? And I think that's, again, where we're seeing a real transition in our culture to say that the scripts aren't working. And the script isn't giving us the ROI that maybe it used to.
And it's funny that you say that. I just listened to someone, I think it was a podcast, and they were saying like that we have to see our lives as the same P&L that we see our business. Yes. Okay, like we are profiting, but like how much are we losing? Are we like actually seeing results from the choices we're making? How much are we abdicating of the other parts of our life to make that profit? So that goes very well.
And I think once you see the script that exists, it becomes much easier. But again, it's the pausing to be able to see what is the script that you're following, and is it the life you want to lead?
And when did you realize you were living a script that didn't mean anything to you anymore?
I'm going to answer it differently because I think I just bought into the script of everyone. Like, again, I chased money, I chased title. And for me, money was the definition of success. But when I looked around, I didn't think I was successful because I'd never struck it rich. I'd always been at the wrong time, wrong place, wrong time. In retail, a lot of people have done quite well. And it's not that I have done poorly, but I've just never been there when the bonuses were, like 70% year over year. And I had been at a tech startup and was supposed to have a massive payout, which they're still not public. But I looked around, and I'm in San Francisco. I have friends who had not had on paper the titles and the impact, et cetera, and they've got money hand over fist. And so for me, until I was going to, reap these, financial rewards, I wasn't being successful. So there's that component. The second one that is still something I'm actively dealing with, and I think this is what's more relevant to my script. But before I say it, I'm going to start with, I don't have imposter syndrome. I know what I'm good at. I know what I suck at. And even though I always felt like a square peg in a round hole in the organizations I worked with, and I mean, I was a change practitioner. I was supposed to be an outlier and push thinking. I always knew that I was good. What somebody introduced to me a couple of years ago was this idea of comparison syndrome. Now, I don't know really what the definition of a syndrome is, but
comparison exists.
Yes, I compare myself, right? And
which is fair, I think.
All of us do, And that's where I've gotten stuck. So I'd compared myself, like I was saying, in terms of the definition of success being money. But I was also comparing myself to, and now I'm doing it today. So in the interest of time, I'll fast forward that's something I realized last July is now I'm a founder. Never thought, anything that the book was on my bingo card. A nonprofit was on my bingo card, but doing what I'm doing in retail with women was never on my bingo card to be a founder, right?
Yeah. And what is your definition of success now?
Impact. But what I've been struggling with is that I compare myself to other founders, the ones who work 18, 20 hours a day. I compared myself to the people who, I was doing independent consulting who got, people right away, right? And that I didn't feel like I had. And I have really had to really struggle, but also appreciate and give myself grace is that I always had boundaries and balance in my life. I always was very respectful of my home life and where my work life came in. I don't have those boundaries anymore. Now I work 12 hours, a day, 6 days a week. But what I realized is my values are to have balance. And so it's forced me to really challenge my idea of comparing myself to other founders, because is that really the life we should be leading?
Is that the P&L you want to run?
Yeah. And what P&L is it giving them? Right. Yeah. So that for me, the script is what I'm trying to throw away is comparing myself to other people. And I will give a very specific example. I've had to unfollow other women's organizations. Not ours in retail because I love them, but other ones because I was comparing myself to them. and comparing what we're doing to them. And so
No,
those
yeah,
are the
you always
things.
have, as I've learned in my life, is that you have to forget a little bit about the competitors. I wouldn't say they're competitors to you.
No.
But because otherwise you try to live their truth, their script.
Exactly.
And you have to follow what is inside, like
Yes.
what you believe. Like if I was listening to every podcast, I would be like, oh, I should have asked questions more like this. But then I lost
totally.
the authenticity of why I want to build
Exactly.
on my way, right? Like,
Exactly.
and that's what my show is about.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I totally get it.
Yeah.
And you have this framework, fear, false evidence appearing real. What is this? What does it mean?
So, and there's a whole chapter about fear. And actually, fear is something that is talked about in several chapters. And fear is necessary, right? It is a healthy part of who we, and it's necessary as a human. But in these spaces of transitions, or when we've been laid off or we're burned out and we know we want to do something else, fear often becomes the driver, right? And so we talk a lot about in the book of like, maybe give it a backseat driver position, right? But certainly not holding the wheel. So the example that I'll give for you, well, I have actually two, but one is I had decided to go out on my own, and that was a fear moment, right? Going through every limiting self-belief. Another great story there. Just so many I could share that I don't have time for, but it's in the book.
We should have a whole show.
Yeah. It's in the book. So,
Okay.
So a teaser on that one. But fast forward, I had fortunately gotten a fractional GM role very quickly. And 6 months into it, they offered me a job. And the comp we couldn't get to, and I learned enough, right, how tech companies work. And I also was like, is this what I really want to do? Is it what I'm great at? But so they offered it to me, and it was a really important moment for myself when I was like, it's not the right fit. Okay, 2 weeks later, I find out 2 of my teenagers need braces to the tune of $16,000.
So that financial stability will help you.
That fear came back, right? But at least I made the right decision because I didn't want fear. I do have, say, an fear mentality. So I was very proud of myself. However, 2 weeks later, all those limiting self-beliefs were back in Technicolor. The second one was deciding to do what I'm doing now. So I was going to relaunch kind of my consultancy around AI and change management, but this little thing called RWIT, Retail Women in Tech, we affectionately refer to it as RWIT, kept taking up all of my time. And my fiance says one day, I think you should go all in on this. Many people out there might know this story already. And let me come back. I've never struck it rich. I live in the second most expensive area in the country. I pay my ex-husband handsomely, and I have 3 teenagers, one in college and others soon to be. So it was a really...
You have a lot on stake.
Yes. And
the stakes are high.
I had saved for retirement, right? But I was like, dude, I won't make money for years. But he's like, but it's what you love. And then Nicola comes out about the book. So the 2 things I wanted to do when I retired, because I never thought I'd stop working, were manifesting themselves in front of me within weeks of each other. And remember, financial insecurity is my number one fear and number one definition of success. I call my financial advisor, who's a dear friend, and she said, you need to see yourself as an asset, not a liability. You'll make money again. Don't be afraid. This is what you're supposed to do. So I have had to face that fear so many days and so many times. But that financial fear has completely walked away from me, and I haven't had a paycheck since October 2024, and I'm getting poorer by the second. So for me to move through that has been something actually I've never said out loud till this very moment.
To have the fear of financial stability, you mean? Of not having that again?
Of not having money. That fear used to be so a part, or that the fear of needing more money, right? Or not having the financial stability. And it was the number one reason why I didn't want to go out on my own. But as somebody said, it's a misnomer if you think you have financial stability at a company you work at, they can get rid of you at any time.
At any time.
But now the fear of money doesn't enter my thinking, my emotions, because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and the money will come.
I agree with you because I went through a similar journey.
I remember
I just believed a lot.
I remember when you started your journey.
Yeah, I remember you when I announced OFFBounds. You reached out to me. Can we talk? Like I'm thinking about doing something else. What do you think I'm good at? What do you think? And I remember saying how you're good at building communities and bringing people together. And this is exactly what you're doing. We can see that you're on the right path.
Yeah.
So money's gonna come very soon. Whatever we can do to help.
You can donate on retailwomenintech.org.
But tell about what the org does and how the people can help and what they're helping.
It's incredible. One, we are 100% volunteer-led. We have about 80 volunteers who are actively involved, a 14-person leadership team. These women inspire me every day. So my currency has been the community, right? And that's the paycheck I now get. Not 1 ounce of marketing. It's all been organic growth. And we focus in on several different things. We have a mentorship program, an internship program. We do virtual programming twice a month that's around personal development. We've made a commitment to AI. We have an advisory council who's driving that programming. We've had events in Europe and Australia, Toronto, San Francisco, New York. So we're unlocking those experiences. One-to-one connections are a superpower, and I believe one conversation can change a life. I've had so many, and in fact, had one last night in my Uber about the book, which was great. And then spotlighting what matters. So we've got a Women to Watch program that is going to be amplifying and giving space to the women who are doing the work and making the change and seeing the patterns in the world of AI. Those are just a handful of the things we do. I don't want to forget this one is we have a Campus Connector program where we've just had a partnership with FIT where our interns have unanimously said, get our WIT to campuses. So those are the things that we do and we make impact every day. And it's not just for the sake of the individual, it's for the industry. Because I believe that by one, having men involved, allies involved is critical. We can't get where we need to go without them.
And all the events I've been to, we had so many.
Yes,
it's so nice to see how they're being
yes,
supporting.
Yes. And we believe in people, not profiles. And we believe that giving back is how you grow, right? And we believe that show up as your whole self. And I do believe that's one of the things that I do create space for is the hard parts of life, right? And being honest and authentic and real. And a lot of, unfortunately, communities don't often foster the inclusivity. They focus on the exclusivity.
Yeah. Shannon, it was amazing talking to you. I wish we had a lot more time because I know that we can talk for hours about these topics. It was great. And how can people buy your book?
It's on Amazon.
We're going to put the link in the show notes.
Awesome.
Right,
and if you love it, write a review and then share it because one story changes a life. And that is who we are as humans. And that's why my belief that this book is so important. And there's so many incredible stories from women in our industry. So my pleasure. I'm so excited that you were the first podcast I've ever done and in studio.
Amazing.
We're going to do this again. We're going to talk more.
Absolutely.
Okay.